At least we know what to talk about.
Yeah.
Oh, and how do I do this again? View full screen. While I'm there, I might just quickly see how that's like peaking in the red. That'll like just destroy everyone's ears.
Yeah.
That's a bit better now. Yeah, that yellow is
Okay,
just
cool.
a little. Get that red gone. Yeah. So that's on. Yeah.
So did you just talk at a normal volume?
Yeah.
Welcome to the Audacious Dutchman.
Hey! Welcome to episode 11, take 2, of the Audacious Dutchman. Now, what I mean by that is we've actually just sat here for the last 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And done the intro of the show, and then it occurred to me that the mics were not actually turned on, which is good. We got a little rehearsal, which is good.
Yeah. Nice little practice in.
Yeah. So it's actually your first time on a mic, we were saying earlier.
Yeah. First time on a mic, on a podcast, anything like that. So
That's cool. Well, you'll be able to watch the first 4 minutes ever and not listen to them.
That
I'll
sounds
give you the
great.
raw footage.
Just watch us with no context.
Legit.
Yeah.
No, so you've actually brought us a gift.
Yes. I've brought in this Highland Park peated Scotch whiskey.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So you like whiskey? We're
Yeah.
literally going to go through exactly the same questions I just asked.
Yeah, definitely. Whiskey's a drink of choice.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. This one's actually quite peaty.
Yeah.
What's peatiness?
Yeah, so peatiness is that sort of smoky notes at the back of the throat that you get from it.
Yeah.
I quite like this one because it's not too peaty.
Yeah,
I find a lot of peaty whiskies can go way too far with it, and you might as well drink charcoal.
Yeah.
But this one's real nice.
Yeah, no, that's cool. That's really cool. I've always liked whiskey. We were just discussing earlier as well. We both like it neat. We don't like it with ice because it sort of
totally.
just dilutes it. Yeah, it's not the same thing at all. What else did we just touch on? We're related.
Yeah.
You're my cousin. That's what we were talking about. But we're both Dutch, but different Dutch.
Yeah, because... Well, yeah, basically, we're both related on our mum's side, but our mum's side of the family, not Dutch. Kiwi.
Correct. So we're related through the Kiwi bits.
So there must be something about the Dutch, because both of our mums like the Dutch, apparently.
It's so interesting you say that. So my wife's family,
Yeah.
there's 3 kids. Her brother married a Dutch girl.
Yep.
My wife married me, obviously, the
Yep.
Audacious Dutchman. And her sister has just gotten engaged. I was going to say shacked up with her. I'm like, that's not the right word. Gotten engaged to a Sri Lankan guy. And Sri Lankans are like heavily Dutch influenced.
Oh, there you go. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we always find a way, don't we?
Yep.
Dutchies. And we've got your wife sitting at the end of the desk watching us at the moment,
Yes.
Emily.
My wife, Emily, who's very, very pregnant at the moment.
Yep. 36 weeks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Only a few more weeks, and then we'll have a little child.
And you don't know the gender.
Not at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go.
Keeping that all a secret. I'm super excited because I'm going to get to announce the sex once the baby's born.
Cool. That's awesome.
Do all of that.
That's really cool.
Gonna snip the cord.
Yeah. That's exciting. I think, I did that. I did do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. That whole time's really cool.
Yeah, totally.
Scary at first, definitely.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, you'll have great memories.
Oh, totally. And the media's done a real shocker of portraying what pregnancy is like.
Absolutely.
Like, it's so much different to what is on the movies. I was actually talking to Em the other day because Emily was feeling a bit overwhelmed with like not being able to do everything that she used to, and I was just like, yeah, probably because you've been watching TV shows and movies where they've like portrayed these boss bitches who keep working until like their water breaks, and you're like, that's not realistic.
It's not real.
Not at all.
No.
Everyone's different. You know,
Absolutely.
pregnancy does a number on women. So.
100%. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. The media has done a very good job of portraying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy, some of the stuff that's like not real. Even just like the hospital setup. Like one thing we found is, like, you go into hospital and they're like, there's no sense of urgency. And you're like, no, we're, like, fucking here to have a child. And they're like, have you got your file? Do I look like someone who has a file? No, I have a pregnancy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I don't have all my papers.
What is this, communist China?
My wife is screaming.
Yeah.
She's in pain. She wants to have a baby.
Literally.
Yeah.
So before we cut, and then this will bring us exactly to where we were up to before me, the dickhead, realised the mic was off. You've just opened a bakery.
Yes, yeah, I've just opened a bakery, Double Dutch Bakery, in Kensington. So yeah, more of that Dutch tie-in.
Lekker.
Lekker, yeah. Yeah, totally. Very exciting. It's sort of my first business venture. First time I've sort of stepped out and done something a little bit more, I don't know, risky, but exciting.
You loving it?
Loving it so much.
That's good. That's really cool. Now, I bumped into you at Proserpina in the Hills.
Yes.
2 years ago, a year ago, or something like that. And that was the first time we'd seen each other probably since your wedding.
Yes, definitely.
Proserpina's huge now.
Oh, it's massive, yeah. Yeah, I was there for the transition to the new place.
Yep.
And it's like triple the size it was.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. I guess for those of you who don't know what Proserpina is, that's a really big bakery in, is it Tacoma?
It's in Sassafras sort of area, yeah.
Yeah. Gets super busy. We'll go there. So Mon's family live up in Berwick. So we'll go up there as a family, and like you can't get a chair.
Oh yeah, like there's always a line out the door.
It's a vibe. It's definitely like it's really cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's a big thing.
Oh
it's
yeah,
really really cool and delicious stuff. Like very very delicious stuff.
Yeah, they've got a pretty talented team there. Making awesome food.
How old is it?
Proserpina, I think it was like 6 years.
Okay,
it'd be about 6-7 years, somewhere there.
Yeah, okay.
Maybe longer. I don't know.
Yeah, cool.
My perception of time is dead ever since COVID, so...
For sure, hey? Isn't that so interesting? I was talking with someone the other day who said the same thing. Isn't that just so interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah. They went on to tell me that they think that it was a psyop and we don't exist anymore, and that's why time's different.
Oh, okay. We don't exist. Okay,
we don't exist anymure.
Oh, that's good to know. Nothing matters anymore.
Yeah, the immaterial Dutchman. But... so you actually said something really fascinating to me the other day on message, because I messaged you and I was like, oh, like, what do you want to talk about? And you were talking about the bakery and all that sort of stuff, and you were talking about wage theft.
Oh, yes, yeah,
and that was one of the things that you really, like, that's why you wanted to open the bakery, and it's like, fuck yeah, we can talk about that, definitely. So do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I mean, there's been quite a bit of news about this and talk about this, especially in hospitality, about wage theft. And I think a lot of people don't actually know what's going on with wage theft in hospitality. It's pretty much every food business you walk into is committing some form of wage theft, whether it's not paying overtime, not giving their staff breaks, whether it's not paying entitlements or not paying super. Like, nearly every business is doing that. And I can't say every because I haven't worked at every business.
Yeah.
But...
the vast majority of the vast majority you've come across.
And every one that I've worked in has not paid correctly.
Yeah, right. Wow. How the fuck do they get away with that?
No one cares. Well, it's a combination of, like... Well, yeah, staff care, but staff don't know their rights. Staff don't know what they're entitled to. So it's just sort of a toxic... conglomeration of businesses that are screwing over their staff, and their staff just think it's normal.
Yeah, right. That's crazy.
Yeah. That's crazy. So, big thing for me, I've always been complaining about this, because when I worked at Mickey D's right out of high school, you learn a bit about workplace law, because they want to make sure that if you're a manager at McDonald's, that you don't screw over your staff.
Sure, makes sense.
So, when I learnt a bit about that stuff, I... then moved into hospitality, and I was just like, yeah, this doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem to be correct. And it's just, everyone's like, oh, no, that's pretty normal. All sorts of stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like, one of the biggest ones is if you become a salaried employee, people just assume that means you don't get like overtime and all of that. But that's only if you've got like an annualized wage agreement, which is when you earn a certain percentage above your industry standard.
Yeah, okay.
That kicks in and you don't get paid overtime or whatever.
Yep.
But no one gets paid that much.
Yep. Yeah.
For the majority of like hospitality staff, there would be around about 90,000 that you have to get paid before an annualized wage agreement would get kicked in.
Yeah, okay.
And most hospitality staff are 50.
Yep. Yeah, I can't imagine you be earning 90 grand in hospo work. Yep.
Not in hospo work. I mean, that's obviously a goal for the future for hospitality.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's a career. People spend their lives dedicated to honing their craft and
for sure
bringing up great food,
especially
in Melbourne. Like, we're becoming one of the biggest centres of food in the world, and we should treat the staff who make that food right.
Absolutely.
So, spent a lot of my career complaining about wage theft and all of that, and decided it's about time that I actually just do something about it.
That's cool.
So, these guys wanted to open a bakery with Rumble Coffee. They wanted to open a bakery, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll join in. And but my one condition is sort of that we pay everyone right.
Yep,
that was my one thing, and they're like,
cool.
Yeah, hell yeah,
cool.
That they believe in that. They believe in paying farmers correctly, paying staff correctly, and so it was just a very good value matchup. What
does that do to the end product? Does that mean a croissant costs $18.50 or?
Sometimes it costs a little bit more.
Yep. How much is a little bit? I'm actually curious. What's the cost of not fucking everyone over?
It depends on how big your business is.
Oh.
So
Startup bakery.
The thing that I've been focusing on is you work your 8 hours, you get your break, but while you're working, you work hard.
Yes.
That's sort of the idea.
You do 8 hours worth of work.
You do 8 hours worth of work.
Or 7.5 hours.
7.5 work. Yeah.
Yep.
And
not 4.
I mean, there's overtime, but the staff get paid for it.
Yep.
Unlike other hospitality businesses, which don't pay their staff overtime. That's just been the biggest thing is like respecting your staff. They'll respect you, and they'll work hard for you.
And how much do you think your products cost more than your competition because you don't fuck everyone
That's over? A great question. I mean, like, sourdough bakeries usually would charge about $8, $9, $10 for a loaf. That's where we're sitting.
So it's not that much more.
It's not that much more. It's just about having the processes in. I think a lot of people are just lazy.
Okay.
They don't want to have to work at that side of the business. Also, I think it's probably very hard to change for businesses that have been operating for like 10 years.
Yep.
To change into a model where they can pay their staff correctly because they've already got it entrenched in their business.
Yeah, cool.
So it might be a bit easier for me to come in with a new business and go, hey, we're doing the right thing, because that's what we always planned on doing.
Yeah. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
So you find that people are efficient enough when incentivized, that during their 7.5 hours, they're working enough that you don't have to fuck the system.
Yeah, totally. I mean, there's other things as well. Like, there's a lot of inefficiencies in hospitality businesses.
Yep.
A lot of chefs who run their hospitality businesses get, like, tied down to some sort of product that they love. And it's like their artistic product that they brought in that takes all this extra work and no one buys it. So I've had a few of those, and I just scrap them. Like, if we're putting in all this effort and no one's buying it, it goes.
Have you got an example?
For example, we did Danishes at the start, the first few weeks, and I was putting in a lot of effort into making these really nice Danishes, and the customers in the area, they weren't buying them.
Right.
I don't know why. Danishes seem to sell well in other places I've worked, but they didn't here.
Not there.
And like, that's probably one of my favorite pastry products is a good fruit Danish. But yeah, they weren't selling, so I just got rid of them.
Cool. Yeah,
why waste the time and the money?
Yeah. Absolutely.
But yeah, I've noticed that hospitality staff, like chefs who become owners, are not necessarily great managers, and managers who know nothing about hospitality are not good hospitality managers.
I getcha. So
it's very rare to find anyone that can do both.
Mm-hmm.
And I've still got a lot to learn on that. But
that's with everything, though. Like, I found that in real estate as well. Every agent thought they'd be a great boss, and most of them were
It's not true, eh?
fucktards.
Yeah, it's not true.
You've got to be.
You can do the
You've
job.
got to be a fucktard to be a real estate agent, though. We've all.
That's true.
Like literally, everyone knows what real estate agents are like.
Yeah.
Why
They're the least trusted industry.
Why would you want to work for that?
In Australia.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Which is crazy.
Yeah. Is that actually legit?
Yeah.
Surely it's pharmaceutical companies.
No.
Is it
they're up
real
there.
estate?
They're up there. Real estate is number 1 least trusted.
Wow.
I think politicians was like number 5 or something.
That's crazy. And I get why they're like not trusted, but least trusted.
Yeah.
Wow, that's so interesting.
I think the most trusted, I can't remember the exact, this was a little while ago. The most trusted was firefighters, which makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. You got to be a pretty good dude to be a firefighter.
Oh, totally.
So you, going back a little bit.
Yeah.
Did you have to go to school to become a baker?
Yeah, so I did an apprenticeship.
Yep.
As part of that apprenticeship, it had 1 day in TAFE.
Okay.
But, I mean, that was kind of bullshit.
Sure.
So, when I did my apprenticeship, I was working at a place that my average hours a week was about 60 to 70 hours.
What are you saying? TAFE's a joke?
TAFE's a joke, yeah. TAFE's a total joke. And I would use my TAFE time to sleep.
Sure.
And then, like, so I'd just sleep at TAFE and then rock up for the tests, pass the test, because, like, it takes an IQ of 10 to pass a TAFE test. At least in the lower levels. Higher levels, there's probably something to it, but in the lower levels, a Cert 2, Cert 3, like,
That's sensational.
you just rock up and you pass.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
They don't want to do the paperwork to fail you, so...
Yeah. No, that's good. I like that.
But, yeah, so, I mean, it is a bit of a joke. My TAFE was using recipes from Baker's Delight and Coles.
Wow.
Which-
okay. Yeah.
I think there was some sort of tie in there, some sort of sponsorship or something.
Okay.
Because, I mean, a lot of the people who go and do the TAFE course just end up working for Coles Bakery or Baker's Delight or something.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
So it's very different to doing artisan baking and then, yeah.
So what's the difference? So I love eating pastry, but I'm by no means any chef. What's the difference from a cooking perspective between artisan and Baker's Delight?
I guess Baker's Delight is mostly focused on quantity.
Sure. Yep.
They obviously are a little bit better than other bakeries.
The bakery.
The bakery at Coles. I mean, like, yeah, most people would go, if you put a Tip Top versus a Baker's Delight loaf in front of them, you'd be able to see that there's a quality difference there. But then, obviously, the next level on top of that is artisan baking, and artisan baking focuses on natural, sort of traditional methods like sourdough. And also, a lot of artisan baking focuses on using local produce that is good quality. For example, we use a lot of biodynamic ingredients.
What is a biodynamic ingredient?
What is a biodynamic ingredient? So biodynamic is I guess a philosophy around farming where they're trying to rejuvenate the land that they're on.
Okay.
So they're not using pesticides, so they're not using fertilizers.
Cool. Yep.
They're doing things as sort of naturally as possible and trying to keep the ground healthy.
But here you go. Biodynamic farms work toward generating seed and animal stock within the farm, incorporating selection and breeding into farm activities when possible in order to develop unique, locally adapted and sensitized plants. Does that say sensitized?
Yeah.
I'm going blind.
Yeah. Adapted and sensitized plants and animals with excellent nutrition and flavor and resistance to pests and disease.
Interesting.
So instead of just putting a seed in the ground and then spraying the shit out of it with pesticides and fungicides and whatever to stop everything else from coming, they develop the ecosystem that they're in to be resistant to the pests in the area.
Interesting. I like that. I'm getting more and more suspicious of... Sorry, I'm incredibly suspicious of pesticides and herbicides.
Oh, totally. Should be.
Yeah.
Should be. It's Monsanto or whatever they are that develop it. The same people who make Agent Orange.
Yep.
So, you know, if you're making
L'chaim,
chemical
Solange.
weapons and stuff, you probably shouldn't be making stuff that goes on food.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? And some of the stuff, just some of the articles that you read on stuff like that are scary. I'm actually serious. So I'm obviously run a gardening business, and 20% of what I do is spray footpaths.
Yeah.
Seriously considering getting rid of it.
Yeah, because that would be the most efficient way to get rid of weeds in a footpath.
Absolutely. It's a really good way to make money, but I'm now concerned about not only my health, but I've just put a staff member on. So I'm very aware of the fact that I've not put her... She's been on 2 weeks. She's been nowhere near weed killer yet. So I haven't ruined her yet.
Yeah, totally.
But
that makes sense. Like, I mean, you don't want to be liable, but you have a relationship with this person. They're your staff. You want to look after them. You want to make sure they're
in 60
having
years,
a happy,
I don't want to watch
life.
her have Parkinson's.
Yeah.
And that's apparently one of the side effects of all this stuff.
Cancer.
Yeah.
Is another one. It's quite intense. I mean, this is just anecdotal from my experience of using different flour in the bakeries. My first job was using just sort of your stock standard. It's good quality, but it's not the best flour. And I broke out in like hives after a year.
Fuck off, really?
On my hands and my skin.
No way.
And just sort of constant rashes, constant pain, constant itching, all that sort of stuff.
Oh, and that's what you put in your gut.
Yeah. And so I was using that constantly, and then moved to another bakery which was using all organic and biodynamic farming practices for their flour. Nothing. It just goes away.
That's so interesting.
It's like, okay, cool. There's obviously something to it here. Whether it's the bleaching of the flour, whether it's the pesticides that are on the grains, whatever it is, there's something there.
Wow.
And like, so many people are coming up with gluten intolerances, and it's like, no shit.
How have you found gluten intolerances have impacted your business?
I mean, it just means that we have to be more creative. It's very hard in our size business to be able to do stuff for every dietary, so gluten-free has been the last one for us to sort of go into. We do have a gluten-free brownie, which is a big seller, and it's very popular, but I mean, yeah, gluten-free, it's definitely had an impact on baking.
For sure.
Baking industry.
A lot of people have gluten intolerances.
A lot of people do.
More than I remember when we were young. Remember when, like, so you're a year older than me, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you remember when, like, people started to have gluten intolerances, and you could buy this
probably like
shit
18.
hideous, like, I remember when I was quite young.
Oh, okay.
Like, maybe grade 3.
Yeah.
Like, we ate, like, gluten-free bread, and I was like, yeah, nah.
Nah, it's just a rock.
And it was like the first ever like gluten-free product. And I was like, why would you even want this? Now, like, everything has a gluten-free alternative.
Yes, totally.
Everything.
I mean,
Yes.
So I think gluten-free, if you grow up your entire life and you've eaten shit bread, I'm talking Tip Top, I'm talking like
Wonder
the buns at Macca's,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff, and that's all you've ever eaten, and then you take that out of your diet, I feel like, of course, you're going to feel good. This stuff it's definitely not good for you. And I've seen, like, as part of my TAFE course, they show you all of these different additives that you can add to bread. So one of them's like powdered gluten. So there's a company that isolates gluten, and you add that into your bread to make it more consistent and easier for machines to help process it.
Okay.
Is usually the reason for it. And so you're enhancing the amount of gluten through scientific
It's
methods.
GMO.
It's kind of GMO.
Yeah, right.
I mean, like, it's not genetically modified, but it's just like they've taken that
artificial.
one protein, they've isolated it, and now they're adding it back as like a powder
So it's
into
not
your bread.
it's not artificial, but it's isolated.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting.
So it's like, for example, in Australia we have like the bread, I mean, the flour has got different protein levels. In Australia, ours is quite high. Just from the soil that we have in Australia, it makes grains grow with higher protein levels. So in a normal flour that you would use for bread, it's about 12% protein. Mm-hmm. So you're just adding more of this protein, which is the gluten, which is what's causing everyone to have gluten intolerances in there for no reason. Like, ours is already way higher than most of what you would get in Europe or America or anywhere else. And so they're just adding more because they feel like it.
Wow.
It's like a completely unnecessary
That's
thing.
crazy.
You don't need to add extra gluten to flour to make bread.
Has that been getting worse as well? Is that why, to our point earlier, now everyone's allergic to... I'm sure I'm allergic to gluten.
Yeah, well,
I'm sure I am. I don't care.
One of the things is that I'm obviously haven't studied this. I'm not a scientist, so I can't talk too much into it. But one of the things I have been hearing a lot of is people talking about how their doctor said having a true sourdough is probably fine. And there's a lot of things that make sense there. One, we care about our flour and the flour that we're picking, so we're probably not going to be using genetically modified crops. We're probably not going to be using pesticides or herbicides on those crops. And then after that, the sourdough process breaks down gluten. So part of my process is trying to reduce the amount of gluten in the bread. Mm-hmm. And you can do that in two different ways. There's something called an autolyse, which is where you get the flour and water and you mix it together and you just leave it for a few hours, and it helps break down that structure and that starchiness and that protein in there, and helps make it more manageable for hands, less manageable for machines, to make good bread. And then the other one is just the fermenting process. Fermenting breaks down proteins, turns them into sugars. So you break down the gluten. And, yeah.
That's so interesting. Mon can eat sourdough.
Yep.
But will really struggle. Like, if I... The other night, I made a toasty with, like, Wonder Bread. Because I just wanted a grilled cheese.
Oh, yeah.
We're having some soup, and I was like, oh, yeah, go on.
That's a good idea. Always, yeah.
But, yeah, if she ate that, she'd die. But she had two pieces of homemade sourdough.
Yep.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
It flares up her psoriasis.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah, it makes it really bad.
Yeah, so a lot of gluten intolerances come out that way, where it's like some sort of inflammation.
Mm. It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. But I don't know, I feel like it's something that in 10 years we'll find that the food industry has been, like, keeping quiet and trying to push everyone onto gluten-free instead of actually coming to terms with the fact that they're doing stuff wrong in the post sort of industrial era.
I'm sure. I wonder how many things are going to come out over the next decade or two, not just in bread. Not big bread.
Well, I mean,
but like big pharma
everywhere.
And big tech and like all this sort of stuff. I'm so interested to watch as people wake up. I just had someone on this morning and we were talking about how many people are like waking up to stuff now. I wonder what's like.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the general trust for any form of authority seems to be going down in the Western world.
Good. Seriously.
I mean, I wish we could trust them. I really do.
Oh,
like,
don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It'd be a nice world to live in, but like, yeah, I mean, just...
Yeah.
You see enough things where they're like, oh yeah, this is totally fine, and then you look at the back of the packet and it's like full of all these different chemicals, and you're like, well, no, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't want to put that shit in me.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to vaccinate our kid, and I asked for the ingredients list, and it took a very long time for the ingredients list to arrive.
Yeah.
And when it arrived, I did research on the ingredients, and no one could answer the questions.
Yeah, well, I mean, professionals aren't trained to answer those questions. They're just trained that this is the good thing, do it.
I went through 4 doctors.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and I said, so there's this one ingredient in this, and it's like may cause blindness, deafness, and like something else.
Yeah.
I was like, so why do I want to give that to my kid?
Yeah.
And we had a very long conversation, and then I was like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, for most people, it's just that peace of mind, right?
Yeah.
Like, just having that peace of mind
I just wanted
of like
the answers.
Me and Em were talking about vaccines for our kids. At the very start, like there's like a vaccine that you get straight after birth.
Vitamin K.
Yeah, vitamin
That's the one I
K,
was talking
and then
about.
there was another one as well. I think it was like Hep B or something. And I'm like, okay, cool. If it's necessary,
Yep.
that makes sense. Because I'm sort of the person that I don't like interventions.
Me too.
try to avoid interventions, but, I mean, there's always a reason why those interventions are there, and as long as someone can explain it to me, I'm more than happy to go along with it.
Have you seen the RFK? Do you know who RFK is?
No.
Robert Kennedy Jr.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I've heard of him. He's the guy that's running. On the Democrats side? Yeah.
No, he's independent.
He's independent?
Yeah, because he wouldn't get a seat because they're running that fucking sock puppet, Biden.
I can't believe they're running him.
If it ain't
like,
broke,
he's just very old. He's just very, very old.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it's completely fucked and it worked the other day, don't fix it as well.
I don't see how Biden's going to make it through another 4 years. Dude's so old.
He won't. There's no way.
And, like, the presidency is a very taxing job as well. You have the weight of the world on you.
If that was your grandfather,
yeah,
wouldn't you be like, wouldn't you feel sad that he's just embarrassing himself and falling over, and talking about licking hairy legs and all this sort? Like, he's just a fucking old. He's
an old dude. He's very, very old, and he's obviously got some sort of cognitive decline, and it's just sad to watch.
If that was any other job, any other job. If that was
they would have the conversation.
If he was working the drive-through at McDonald's, they get rid of him. They'd be like, hey, like, you're handing out, like, a lot of free shit. You need to not do that job anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like,
So RFK said it was something crazy, like, kids receive 279 vaccines between 0 and 18. And I'm trying to find the number, and I can't find it anywhere.
That's a lot.
It's a lot, because the thing is, they don't receive 279 needles.
No, because
a lot of these vaccines have 20 vaccines in them now.
Packed into one.
Yeah. Nah. They're not going to... Isn't it so interesting the way, like, it's so deceptive? I've just Googled a very simple question. How many vaccine do US kids receive? And, like, no one wants to answer the question correctly.
Yeah.
Anyway. But it is scary. And to your point, like, I'm a big, like, less intervention is better. Yeah. Even for myself, like, I've been to the doctor in the past, and every single time I go to the doctor, something goes wrong. I've got a huge... I'll show you this scar. Look at this.
Oh, yeah. Oh, jeez, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I had a benign cyst cut off my neck.
Okay, yep.
And that's what he left.
Jeez.
That's a story in its own right. So I had no money. I was 18, so I went to a bulk billing clinic to have surgery.
Yeah, jeez.
Your wife just gave me a face like, how are you alive?
How are you alive? Well, that's because Emily's always had the private health insurance, so that helps.
I did not. So I went to a bulk billing clinic, and to cut a really long story short, Eastern European guy, he was wearing, like, you know those weird Birkenstocks? The, like, sock, sandal-looking ones? He was wearing those. And he had it will be okay, like one of those. And that's what he said. That's what he said when I said to him, hey, the anaesthetic's wearing off. Because he injected me and then left for half an hour. Just disappeared. No idea where he went. Half an hour. I'm lying on this bed going, when's this guy going to come and cut this fucking third neck off me? And he came back and he's cutting and he's fucking jerking me around. Like, geez, I can, like, you know when you jerk your head and you feel like you're getting like a 1 out of 10, like, little bit of concussion. You're like, oh, that's like a little bit violent. Like, my brain's right. That's what it was like. And I was like, hey, that's like hurting. Like, I think the anaesthetic's wearing off. And he's like, no, it's okay. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I'm like, yeah, no, that hurts. And then that's when he said, it will be okay.
Trust me, I'm the doctor.
And it's like, fucking from where I'm sitting, mate, it ain't okay. Yeah. Not a chance. Anyway, he left me with that. And then the other medical intervention I had was I had a wisdom tooth out. It was a tough one. So the way they attacked the procedure is they numbed me up, split the tooth in half, and started to take it out. Got half out, couldn't get the second half out. So
I imagine that's painful.
They left me with half a tooth in my mouth for 7 days. No, not true. That's a lie. 5 days.
5 days, yeah.
It was Monday it happened, and I got it out Friday.
Yeah, so you're not eating proper food for 5 days. You're in pain, I'm assuming?
Pasta here. Oh, I was drugged up.
Yeah.
I was like... And they didn't give me enough drugs, and I went back. No, and I was like, hey, you didn't give me enough drugs because I ran out. I took what they told me to take when they took me to take it. Told me to take it because I was terrified of getting hooked on something. But I literally went back and they're like, oh, we're not really supposed to. And I was like, you're not supposed to leave half a tooth in my mouth and leave me with no drugs either.
Yeah, no.
There's no supposed to going on here anyway. So I'm just like super sketch on doctors after that.
Yeah, the state of Australian healthcare has gone down, especially since COVID. There's a lot of people waiting for surgeries that can't get them. They're in pain and like, yeah. I mean, it just seems like the system isn't built for whatever's going on at the moment.
Yep. Crazy, hey? I was talking about the hospital system with a doula a couple of weeks back, and we were talking about how it's really designed to service 21 million people.
Yeah.
And there's not enough people in the hospital to service 21 million people. So they've got to get you in and get you out quickly.
Yeah. That's horrible.
What pill, what Band-Aid, what can we do? It's not about making you healthy. It's about patching you up and sending you back out to battle.
Yeah. Cool.
Pretty much.
So it's more like getting a service than...
Yeah, which, like, I understand, like, there's medical people in our family.
Yeah.
And we sit around and talk about this, and I have empathy for the situation. Like, I'm not saying I could do any better. The answer is quadruple the budget and put way more staff on. That's not going to happen. Like, it's a broken system and will always be a broken system. The only way to get, like, great care is, like, have a fuck ton of money and get good specialists in.
That's the thing. We have a fuck ton of money in Australia.
Do we?
Yeah. We just send it elsewhere.
That's true.
We do dumb stuff with it.
Yep.
I mean, most people pay tax because we like our roads and we want good health care, and there's a few other things that are nice that come out of the tax system. But, like, I don't know. We all spend a lot of money on tax, and we give a lot of money, and stuff like the healthcare system in a first world country shouldn't be a problem.
Agreed.
That should be the number one thing. Healthcare, education, those two things. The government should have that sorted. There should be no problem there.
Healthcare's an interesting one because you read that list of what communism is.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
No.
Oh, okay. So it's like how to lock up a society and turn it communist.
It sounds like fun.
There you go. Communism checklist, and it's like private healthcare is not private healthcare, like public healthcare.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know if I agree with it. It's like my point that I'm trying to make here. Abolition of property, inland and application of
Of all rents of land.
All day, I've been incapable of comprehending what I'm reading.
Yeah.
And it's very challenging. I did a podcast this morning and I was reading a list of stuff and I was like, is this English? Abolition of property, inland, and application of all rents of land to public purposes. So that's like the state owns your house and you like rent from the state.
Yeah, which is what happens in China.
A heavy progressive tax or graduated income tax, abolition of all rights of inheritance, confiscation of property, centralization of credit in the hands of the state. The state would control communication and transportation. The state factories and instruments of production would cultivate wastelands and improve the soil. Equal liability. This is a different list. Anyway,
there's probably a lot of lists out there.
I'm sure there is.
There's a lot of people that have been thinking about communism for 200 years.
The one that I saw, it said free public healthcare to all.
Yeah,
is one of the ones, and I'm not sure that I agree with that. I think that free healthcare. I have enjoyed the benefits of free healthcare in my life. I did just talk about 2 instances.
Yeah,
but there have been other times where I've kind of half hurt myself. And it's worked out for me.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. What we've got here in Australia, I feel, is better than America. In terms of healthcare, America, you get injured and then all of a sudden you're homeless.
Yeah.
Because like 60% of homelessness in America is due to having some sort of injury or hospital visit.
Yep.
Medical bills.
That's terrifying.
That's crazy.
That's
insane.
For sure.
And like, yeah.
That is scary, isn't it?
We should be avoiding people getting sick and going homeless. You know?
Definitely. Absolutely. So half the reason I had you on the podcast is I want to talk about sandwiches.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about sandwiches.
Let's talk about sandwiches. So I have become... Is the word ingratiated? Is that a word? You know what? I'm going to dumb this down. I like sandwiches.
Yeah. Oh, man. Don't get me wrong. Sandwiches
Let's dumb it down for sandwiches.
Bloody awesome.
Because sandwiches, I almost think they're a bit of a tease because they appear dumb. And man, there's some fancy sandwiches out there.
Oh, totally.
You know what I mean?
I think they're the perfect way to present food.
Ooh,
Pick it up, eat it.
For sure.
It's so easy. I don't know, maybe it's a dude thing as well. It does seem like a dude food, but I mean, everyone can enjoy a sandwich.
My wife is a sensational cook. Sensational. But the amount of times I come home and we'll be having a dinner, I'll be like, there's only one thing that would make this better. 2 pieces of bread.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it'll be this awesome steak. Like, fuck, this would be good on a sandwich.
Oh, true. Like a steak sandwich is bloody awesome.
Dead set.
Yeah.
Or like, we'll be having meatballs and be like, fuck, good long bloody...
Yeah, like
roll
sub. Meatball sub, bloody awesome.
For sure. And is it just that I got into sandwiches recently, or have sandwiches started becoming very, very popular in Melbourne and Australia?
Yeah, sandwiches were probably picking up before COVID, and then really took off during COVID. The local sandwich shop. I think one of the big ones is Hector's Deli. That really paved the way.
Is that in Tacoma?
Hector's Deli, I think it's all inner city.
No, you're right. Yeah. No, sorry, I'm thinking.
They've got a few shops in the inner city.
I'm thinking of Chieftains.
Yeah,
I always get Chieftains and Hector. Anyway,
and I don't know if they didn't make the sandwich. Obviously, they didn't make that up. But they've really pushed hard, made it popular. They make amazing sandwiches in the inner city. And I think since they've been open, there's been a lot of other shops that have opened up, just doing that sort of deli sandwich style thing.
Yep.
I think it comes from America. The Jewish deli, very big.
Yep.
Very popular. Awesome sandwiches.
For sure.
And just it's if you're hungry, a sandwich.
I'm getting hungry.
It's just breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It fits all three. It's always good.
What's your favorite? What's your go-to?
Reuben.
Yeah?
Hands down, Reuben sandwich is probably my favorite.
I never liked Reubens, and I've started to like them. I had a really good one the other day, and I really liked it. But my favorite is a hoagie.
A hoagie?
A hoagie.
What is that? What's in that?
I had one the other day, and it was sensational. What is in a hoagie? So it's this sort of thing. Deli meats, fixings, dressings.
Yeah, that does look good.
Do you want to know something? I think I've completely misinterpreted what's in a hoagie.
Yeah?
Yep. I thought a hoagie was a type of sandwich, and I think it's a couple of different types of sandwiches.
Oh, there you go. That sounds about right.
What was on mine, though, was pastrami, a yellow mayo, like a Big Mac special sauce style mayo. There was chili sauce, there was mustard, there was pickles, onions, and it was just put it in me. I like Cubanos as well.
Oh, yeah.
I really like Cubanos. But yeah, any of those, I like a real mayo-y sort of sandwich.
Oh, yeah, mayo's awesome.
For sure.
I mean, yeah, everything. I was trying to figure out what's the best part about a sandwich, and it's just very hard. You take away any of the elements, and it's just not the same thing anymore. You got your bread. That's obviously important for a sandwich, but then the sauces. Sauces are one of the most important parts. And you got your meat. You can't cheap out on the meat. Then cheese. That's got to be awesome. And then the salad.
Absolutely.
As always, just every part of it's got to be awesome.
So I am time poor in the sense that I buy deli meat from the Coles.
Yeah.
And that's the meat that I put on a sandwich when I make it at home. But I would love to do a brisket.
Oh, yeah.
One day and have it sitting in the fridge and bake the bread. Bake like a nice bloody sourdough roll and home make some mayo, and I make my own pickles.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I've made my own pickles, made my own rolls before. That's a lie. Mon made the rolls. I made the pickles, but they were just sensational.
Oh, yeah.
And what I'm finding is the bread actually plays a huge role in the whole experience. Like, can change it.
Oh, definitely. It's definitely a very important part, and that's why when we were talking about opening Double Dutch, it was a big part of the conversation was what can we offer that's different to all of these other sandwich shops that are opening up. The thing that we offer is the fact that we make the bread in-house.
Yep.
A lot of the other places, they buy it in.
Fuck off, really?
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, but they buy it from good places. They
Yeah,
buy it from
okay,
good bakeries and all of that. So, I mean, it is part of the local economy, and they buy from their local bakery, and they buy from their local butcher and stuff like that, which is always good.
Yep.
But the one thing that we can do is we can go, this bread was baked this morning, and we've made a fresh sandwich for you today. Everything is, like, as
Where is
fresh
it?
as can be.
Kensington.
It's in Kensington, yeah.
Is it still open? Could we go there now?
Unfortunately, we close at 2
Damn.
p.m. But yeah.
Yeah. So what other sandwich do you guys do? Do you do Reuben?
Well, Reuben is one of them. Another popular one that we do is the roast chicken sandwich. Always love a good roast chicken sandwich. Lots of mayo, roast chicken, tomato, lettuce, and that's it. It's super simple.
Yeah.
That one's on like a seeded bread.
Yep.
Super good.
Yep.
What else do? We do like one of our ones is called the Stubb Street sandwich. So we're
Okay.
on Stubb Street.
Oh, that's cool. And tell me about it.
It's like your classic Italian club sandwich kind of thing, but it's spicy. It's got salami. It's got a salad dressing.
I can almost hear it yelling, "I'm walking here!"
Yeah.
That's sick. Yeah. I sampled these guys the other day. I am assuming they're probably a little bit more mainstream. They're Saul's sandwiches. You've had them?
I haven't.
Oh, really?
They
You
look
never heard of
good,
them?
though. Yeah, no, I haven't heard of them.
So they're in the outer ring. The one I went to was Oakley South.
Yep.
I think there's one in, I want to say like Clayton or something like. Oh, they'll probably say it. No, they don't say. Anyway, and what I had was, that's brekkie. The smoked pastrami.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, kale, cabbage slaw, cheddar, dill pickle, mustard pickles, and the sauce. And yes, before you ask, I did add the chili for the extra $1.50.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Oh, shit, I didn't realise they do fries. And they do, I don't think they have a picture of it, but they do salted cookies as well.
Oh, that's so good.
Got a cheeky salted cookie.
I mean, this is... the thing is, sandwiches are comfort food, right? Like, I don't care who you are. If you're the richest of rich people in the world, you'd still go to your corner store and grab a sandwich.
Absolutely.
You'd still, like, it doesn't matter. You're not eating 4-course meals every day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner if you're rich. You're still going to grab a sandwich. Everyone can appreciate them.
The only problem with them is they're definitely not a health food.
Oh,
if they were
totally
a health food,
not.
I'd, without a question, eat them every day. Every single day. No problems at all.
I mean, you've got salad sandwiches.
Yes.
I mean, we do an awesome salad sandwich.
Yep.
With like
Someone ordered it once.
Yeah. Oh, no, it is bloody awesome.
as well.
Yeah.
Oh, actually.
We use like a romesco sauce that we make in-house on it, which is like roasted peppers, sunflowers, all blitzed up with some garlic. It's super nice, a little bit spicy.
Get in there.
Yeah. And then you got like shredded carrot, lettuce, avocado, beetroot, because we're Australian and beetroot goes on everything.
Yeah, everyone loves beetroot. You want to know something?
Yeah.
Unpopular opinion, don't like beetroot.
Oh, yeah.
It's in my garden because Mom likes it, but I just don't dive for it. And I think I was horrified once because we were going to church for something and I was wearing a white shirt.
That would be a scarring incident for a young person.
For sure, and it was all over.
Yeah.
So I don't fuck with beetroot.
No, beetroot fucks with you.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Did on that day. That's like a Theo Vaughn story. Do you know who Theo Vaughn is?
No.
Oh, okay. So Theo Vaughn's a stand-up comedian. And he's a funny dude. He'll have these Theo Vaughn smelling salts. That's funny on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
He's an interesting dude because he's a comedian and he's from Louisiana.
Yep.
And he's got a mullet. But he lives in LA. Well, he lives in LA and he's commercialized, but his brand is I'm from Louisiana, and he's like he's that sort of guy, and
That's
just
awesome.
The way I said it was almost like a little bit like Theo Vaughn-esque. I reckon we can just probably chuck
If you
this
want to
on.
take full control of your sales
No.
pipeline,
I don't want to give you free advertising to my 9 listeners. But I just think he's got a funny way of like telling stories and just like his little.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
We saw a
sayings.
dude in Albuquerque with a sword, man, late at night. Give me a hit down, dude. Am I struggling that bad today?
No, you're not struggling at all.
That
Is that a
nicotine
new
really
one?
got me.
Is that a new one, Jamie? You opening up a new one?
No, it's the same.
But it has the label on it.
The other two.
That's how
are
strong this shit
tab.
is. It puts the label back on itself.
Yeah, it seals, reseals.
Bro, I
Ready?
can
Here we
already
go.
feel it. All right.
Jesus. It was so bad. It's so bad when it's
Bro,
new.
I'm not joking, bro. I'm not joking, dude.
What is this shit that they're
It's so
sniffing? Smelling salts.
So I think that's what weightlifters do just before they like throw the bar up.
Yeah.
Like pro lifters.
Yep.
It's like wake themselves up. I
Jeez,
don't think
man.
it's drugs. I think it's just like gives you
Just a
like
shock.
Yeah, it's a shock. I think that's
Like
the
hits
idea.
you with adrenaline or something.
Just some of the shit he says is hysterical. Oh, I think it's funny. Everyone
Yeah.
else will be like, "That's not that funny." But
sharp. Right? It's so sharp.
Yes, I feel like
Jamie, you want some of this?
Nope.
You sure?
sword.
What was the last time you had some?
Feel great.
When was the last
Leave
time
him
you had some?
alone,
I'm all right.
Joe.
Come on, give me a little
I
hit.
don't need it.
Come on, a little bit from me.
I can fake it.
It'll help you lift weights,
want
Jamie.
I already did today. I'm
I
good.
feel like a sword just came on me.
Sword.
It feels insane.
Oh my god! Here, put the lid on that, please.
he's gonna go again.
Oh, you gonna take another one?
I
Oh
fucking
my
like
god,
to.
you're an animal.
I like to ride the fucking dark on me.
Does it get better the second time around?
It gets a little more manageable.
Oh my god.
I feel like they're moving furniture in my fucking DNA.
Yeah, that is not good.
Dude, yeah, you gotta have Bobby Kennedy on, man. He's an interesting dude.
How did you mean
Oh
that?
man.
I met-
I feel like they're moving furniture in my DNA. I think that's hysterical. I can't remember how
man,
we got
that's
there.
great.
But nah, sandwiches. But isn't it interesting how a lot of Aussie culture is just ripped off from the US? Like these American trucks, sneakers, sandwiches, American style pizza. Like Domino's even has like an American style pizza now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, it makes sense because we get our entertainment from there. So I'm not like it's surprising, but it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. By the time Australia was sort of formed, America was already really going, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Like it
correct.
became a cultural powerhouse way before we could even
Yeah.
have a culture here in Australia of. Yeah.
Not complaining. I like the sandwiches. I wear the
Yeah.
sneakers. I love pizza. We get our comedy from there too.
Oh, totally.
I'll be honest with you. I can't watch Australian stand up. Do you like stand up?
I do like stand up. Yes.
Do you like Australian stand up? Do you like American stand up?
What's
your point of reference?
My point of reference. Okay, so people I like is like Jimmy Carr.
Yeah.
good.
He's yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't actually really know where everyone comes from, but yeah, I feel like
He's
a
from
lot
England.
of
Yeah.
British. Yeah,
Yeah.
I align a lot with British humor.
That's
in general.
interesting.
So, yeah,
Top Gear.
Top Gear. I do enjoy a little bit of Top Gear.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I haven't watched it in a long time.
Yeah. Okay. I'm definitely obsessed.
Yes,
Definitely.
You always have been.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
time I watched Top Gear was when we were like kids.
Really?
And it was with you.
Not
Totally.
surprised. That's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah, that's cool. I still remember when I found Top Gear. So Top Gear came to me. I was introduced to it twice. My uncle showed me Top Gear.
Yep.
The Top Gear Winter Olympics. That was the actual first time we watched it. And
Yep.
then we saw it again on men's camp. Now, men's camp is something I've been going to every year since I was a little kid.
Yep.
Sounds like some sort of creepy thing. It's not creepy, I promise you. It's just it's a father-son camp.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. And
More of that, please.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But everyone's real. Just like with everything, everyone's now engineered everything, and everyone's gotten a little bit wealthier, and now everyone brings these fucking mental setups. So it's a week in the bush, and I'm sure it's a 50-year-old camp, so it's older than me, and I'm sure when it started, it was cooking on the ground.
Oh, yeah, totally. Proper camping.
Now the projector comes out, and the two front of house speakers come out because the guy who started the camp does the sound desk at church. So he's basically an audio engineer.
Yeah.
And yeah, we watched Top Gear in the bush.
Oh, nice.
It's
Sounds
sick.
good.
But that was when I got introduced to it for the second time. I would have been 7.
Yep.
And you know how when you're a kid, there's some things that are just impressionable. They leave an impression on you.
Yeah, they become part of your identity.
You're correct. Yeah. You're 7 and you're like, oh, that's the tops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that'd be the same with like cooking for me. First time I probably cooked dinner for my family was 10 and I just loved it.
Oh, I remembered this really interesting thing from our childhood. One Christmas, this is at Granny and Granddad's house.
Yep.
You and I both got cookbooks. Now, you'd shown a keen interest in cooking. And you got this really quite good cookbook. And then I got the cookbook for the kid that probably wasn't ever going to cook.
They're like, you should know how to make pasta so you don't die and starve one day. But
it was basically, you're probably going to go somewhere cookbook, and I got the Make-A-Wish cookbook.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. That sounds about right.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I was waiting the other day. I was like, oh, yeah, it makes sense he became a chef. I remember like that Christmas where you got the cookbook.
I had a lot of encouragement to go down that road.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Mum always wanted a pastry chef in the family. So
yeah, right.
Yeah, it makes sense that someone went down that.
Do you
road.
love it?
Oh, I absolutely love it.
That's good. It's
so
handy
good.
when those things align, but when you want your kid to be a doctor and they want to be a stripper or like something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, or an artist or something. Yeah.
Probably
totally.
a more sensible. I had a stripper on the podcast this morning.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
So that was such an interesting episode. So she was in a cult.
Oh,
she
geez,
grew up
yeah.
in a cult, dead set. She happened to be a stripper. I didn't have her on because she was a stripper.
Oh yeah, you published that one already, haven't you?
Yeah. So that was this morning.
I still haven't seen it. So.
Yeah, that's all right. It went live 2 hours ago.
Yeah, I was driving.
You're forgiven.
Yeah.
It's handy when your interests line up with what your parents want.
Yeah,
for sure.
It is nice.
Yeah,
it is definitely a privilege to have that.
Yeah,
where my parents support what I do. Yeah.
Your parents used to be missionaries.
Yeah, they did.
Didn't they? They don't do that anymore, though, do they?
No, not currently. Yeah.
So what was that like growing up in that?
Oh, that was wild.
Yeah, right.
So I guess some of the big things that happened when I was a kid was we went overseas to the Thai-Burma border to a refugee camp. Mm-hmm. My younger brothers didn't go to that, but I did because I was just old enough. I was probably like in year 8, so it would have been... Yeah. It would have been about 14. Yep. So, yeah, that had a huge impact on me growing up. Just seeing how broken the world is, but also seeing how much hope there is in the world as well. Like, there's a lot of it's very hard to explain. It's like the Western context, you see these bad things that happen overseas, and you go, oh man, it's all bad over there. It's all shit. But then when you go to the refugee camps, there's just so much hospitality and love between people. They've all been through this horrible thing, but they all come together as a community and they all support each other, which is amazing to watch and see.
That's cool.
And it's definitely like community is something that we've lost in the West. We're all very individual, all want our own little slice of life and don't really have community around us. Some people do, and that's really cool. But I feel like there's something that I've seen from going to third world countries that like there's just this level of community that is awe-inspiring.
Absolutely. I definitely think community is really important. I think it's important to be invested in your community.
Yeah.
Because it means that you take an interest in that community and you want to clean it up.
Yeah.
And you want it to stay nice.
Yeah.
Nekjes flavour. Do you know what that means?
No.
Nekjes flavour. So nekjes flavour is Dutch.
Yep.
And that's what parents say to a 16-year-old boy and girl going out on their first date.
Yep.
Nekjes flavour, which means stay nice. But yeah. So it was used incorrectly, but you said I was saying stay nice. And they were like, oh, nekjes flavour.
There you go.
Yeah, no, I think community's super important. I think that's why it's like we want to like get involved in church more.
Yeah.
Because we want a community.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of church, which is really good. Is the community.
I think fellowship's important.
Super important.
Not even just for like growing in your faith with other people, but with just having like a good group of people around you that are like-minded's nice, but I don't even mind not like-minded.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I prefer it if people are not like-minded to me.
It's good to not have an echo chamber.
I do like having people calling me out on my bullshit.
Absolutely.
It's always good. Always good to have someone there that... and that's why I married Emily. That's one of the big reasons, is she's very good at telling me when I'm wrong. And
that's why you get married.
It sounds bad. All you single people out there, that might sound bad, but it is the best thing ever to have someone that pulls you up when you're doing the wrong thing, or pulls you up when you're saying the wrong thing, or if you... Yeah, they just make you better.
Absolutely. I was talking about that this morning with Xanthia. We were talking about how special the union is with a man and a woman.
Yep.
Specifically. So now this is not an anti-gay thing. If you're gay, that's fine. I just can't speak to that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the man and woman union is so cool because women have a different skill set that men can't see. And men will fuck around and get fat and drink too much and all this sort of stuff. And women have a special ability to help men understand a different perspective. Like, I had no interest in health
totally.
at all before I got married. And my wife helped me see that having a lot of McDonald's 4 times a week and drinking a slab of beer and a half bottle of whiskey and a whole bunch of other stuff is probably not what... No.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a very basic example, but there are so many other things.
I'll give you another example, right?
Please.
So one of the biggest ones that me and Em have is like, it'd be like, Emily, John and Amanda just had a baby. And Emily would be like, oh, cool, what's their name? I was like, I don't know.
Fucked if I know.
I didn't ask. Shit, I should probably ask. And I'll like text, what's your baby's name? And they'll be like, so-and-so. It's just like...
Clarindus.
Yeah, I don't know. Just like, there's that sort of stuff that I think if you're in a partnership with someone,
It's good.
the goal should be to make each other better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's enough people talking about that anymore. You listen to any podcast now, and it's all about how marriage sucks.
Oh, that's bullshit.
There's some great stuff about
marriage sucks for people who go into it with the wrong mindset.
Yep.
But if you're going into it with, I am going into a relationship to serve this other person and to make them better, and that person respects you and is doing the same for you, you're going to have an amazing marriage.
Absolutely. But I want to do that.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, that's the marriage bit. It's like, someone who's single just had that and went, how about fuck no?
Yeah.
But, like, I
want
it's
more
not
than
like
that.
I have to, like, the word serve, you think about, like, okay, so I have to leave the front desk and, like, go and get out a notepad and take their order.
Yeah, totally.
No, it's like, I want this. I want Mon to grow, and I want me to grow, and and you want Emily,
yeah, exactly.
yeah,
and I mean,
it's like, it's nice.
I think in the West we're too selfish, just as a population. It's all about me and my job and my career and my goals in the world and how I'm going to change the world. And like, you can't change the world. You're an individual.
I've got a perspective on that.
Yeah.
I think that selfishness is ultimately the least selfish thing you can do. And what I mean by that is, I think if you focus on other people and build them up around you, it comes back to you.
Oh, totally.
Yeah. And I think that if you are selfish, people want to burn you and you end up lonely, abandoned, and worse off. I think that selfishness, ultimately in the macro, is the stupidest move for a selfish person.
Yep.
I'm quite selfish. And I've worked out the way, like...
Yeah.
being selfless means that I have a better life.
Yeah, definitely.
Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Yeah. That's my macro thesis on selfishness.
Yeah, there you go.
I think that.
That's a good TED talk, right?
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah.
But yeah, no, definitely. I think if you invest yourself into other people, into your community, into your family, into your wife, into your kids, all of that, there are definite benefits that come back towards you in that. And I think one of the things for me that has always been a driving force is I've always thought about, like, ever since I was a little kid, I'm going to get old and die one day. Who do I want there beside me when that happens?
Poof.
And that's always been something, I don't know why I came up with that thought at a young age, but I did. And it's always been like, I want a wife. I want kids. I want to have a good relationship with my brothers so that happens. I want friends around me. And so that's always the top priority for me is family, friends.
It's legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a legacy play. I'm exactly the same.
Yeah.
I focus really heavily on, like, so who's going to turn up to my funeral?
Yeah.
Is the room empty?
Yeah.
And not because, like, I'm worried people won't come to, but, like, it's a symptom of the life you lived.
Totally.
And, like, if you die and people are like, yeah, he was, like, real selfish. Like, he was focused on money, cheated on his wife, he was an alcoholic, for example.
Yeah.
That's not a good legacy to leave.
No.
Or, like, oh, yeah, Andy died. He was, like, fucking... I knocked on the door one night because I was fighting with the missus and I was like, hey, it's like a tough time. And he just invited me in. And we sat there and like we had a couple of glasses of whiskey and we really talked about it. And he like, I went back the next day and like, it was great.
Yeah. I think also as Christians, that's what we're called to do, right? We're
Agreed.
supposed to be making the words that I've heard recently, the sort of phrase is little pockets of Eden. We're called to make little pockets of Eden within the world we're in.
Okay, yep.
And that just means like creating spaces that are good for people, that allow people to thrive.
I was always taught that Christians are supposed to be fragrant, which I feel like is very similar to what you just said. Little pockets of Eden. Helpful and nice.
Yeah, totally.
That's cool. I really like that.
And in the West, one of the things that I think is sort of toxic to that is we get so worked up about things that happen that are totally out of our control. I can control stuff that happens within my community of friends and family, and I can be there for people and I can help them. I can't be doing that for, I don't know, Gaza or Israel right now or for Ukraine. Like, that's out of my control completely, right? And people get so worked up about what's happening over there that they forget about the things that are happening to their friends and family around them.
Absolutely.
And I mean, like, we should pray for what's going on over there, for sure. But, I mean, in
people think
the
it's
amount
either
of
either,
capacity that we have, right, as people, is to look after the people that are around us.
Absolutely. People think it's either either as well.
Yeah.
You have to
but
either be focused on Gaza
yeah,
or focused on Ted down the road who only has one arm and can't mow his lawn.
yeah. You can do both.
Absolutely. You can
have compassion for what's happening over there and then spend time with Ted. Was it Ted down the road that has one arm?
That was very specific.
Yeah.
We had a neighbour growing up. His name was Ted. He had one arm and I mowed his lawn.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Very specific. I was like 6. He was my first client.
Oh, that's awesome. So good. Ever since then, you're like gardening.
Legit.
That's where it's at.
But no, I believe in that the most. And I feel like, not to get too far into conspiracies, but I feel like there are some big powers that are quite heavily focused on distracting us from what's important. I feel like the family unit and faith has been teared apart.
Yep.
Quite strategically since the late 60s.
Yep.
Like the Bible was taken out of school, and like say what you want about the Bible, but like they took the Bible out of school, and then like every statistic, that was in the late 60s, every statistic, suicide, drug addiction, unwanted pregnancies, self-harm, like just general morals just went.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not keen on pushing Christianity on people that don't want it.
I definitely agree.
Because if people don't want it, don't talk about it to them. It's not worth pushing it on them. But if it's a friend of mine who doesn't want it, I'm going to live out my life as a Christian, and if they ask me a question, I'm going to open up about it. I'm going to be as transparent. I'm going to be there for them.
It's really hard to answer, how do I deal with this?
Yeah.
When you're a Christian, through not answering it as a Christian.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, example, this is not my wife does not want a divorce, but like my wife wants a divorce.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Like, how do you engage in that conversation without giving them like your perspective as a Christian? But you cannot. It's folly advice at that point, no?
Yeah,
and
totally.
There's so many other things, like I have suicidal thoughts. How do you tackle that without like bull fucking this?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like that's where when somebody comes up to you with a life issue, and the only thing that you can do is like say, well, God can help in that, then that's the time to talk about it. But yeah, I don't think... I think what we were doing in the 60s, or pre-60s, with putting Bibles in schools could have been seen as wrong. Pushing it on people that didn't want it. But yeah, also when people are at their end, when people are lost, that's when God comes into the situation, I find. A lot of the Bible talks about, like, especially in like Exodus, where the Israelites were slaves and they just cried out. They didn't cry out to God, they just cried out to anyone. And that's when God remembered his covenant with them. And God came into the situation because they were at their end. I feel like that's when we need to come alongside people as Christians. When we see someone that's at their end, it is our job to come alongside them and to help them.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I've just started reading the book of Job.
An interesting book.
Yeah, very interesting book, because I've noticed I've been throwing myself a pity party.
Yeah.
Every time it, like, fucking mower broke, whippersnipper broke, car broke, someone broke into my car the other day.
Oh, that's shit.
You get this. You're a business owner. What goes wrong? Everything.
All the time.
Yep.
Constantly.
What's the easiest thing to do?
Complain.
Sorry, someone being
yeah, totally.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I've decided I'm going to read the Book of Job, because my understanding is the antithesis of the Book of Job is Job had it pretty sweet. Yeah. He had a spa bath, Lamborghini, like the whole bit, yeah? And God allowed the devil to take everything away from him.
Yep.
To test his faith.
Yep.
And I've actually never read the Book of Job. I've like done studies on it in school and stuff like that. This is 15 years ago. I've never actually sat there and read it.
Yeah.
So, but my understanding is he's not shaken.
No.
Yeah. He continues to worship God.
Yeah,
continues
he's
to thank
still faithful.
God. He doesn't go, my mower's broken.
Yeah.
My whippersnipper's broken. Woe is me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very, very high bar to live to.
What? Yeah. You reckon?
Yeah.
To the point at which
his kids were taken away from him. His kids were killed.
In chapter 1.
In chapter 1.
That's like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Like literally,
yeah.
Spoiler alert, Jon Snow's beheaded.
Yeah.
Not Jon Snow.
Ned Stark.
Ned Stark. Yeah. Isn't he beheaded?
Yeah, in the first
episode.
Book.
The main character, see you later.
Yeah.
Have a good one. No worries at all.
Totally.
Yeah, that's what happened to Job.
Yeah, well, I mean, Job had everything thrown at him at the start, and then it just kept coming.
Yep.
Just kept coming.
Yeah. That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. And he remained faithful.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's super cool. So what have we done now? We've done sandwiches, we've done whiskey, we've done the Bible.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
I don't know.
How are you feeling about becoming a dad?
Becoming a dad? I'm super excited.
Yeah.
This has always been a life goal for me. I don't know what it was about me as a young kid. Most young kids I found out don't think about these things. But I always was like, there's 2 goals in life.
No, I thought about this.
Get a wife.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah.
That sounded very, like, objective. Like,
No,
I want to
absolutely.
find someone
Yeah.
to spend the rest of my life with.
Add to
And I
cart.
want to have... and I want to have children and have a
Yeah.
family with that person. Those were
Yeah.
the 2 things that I was like, that's what life's about.
Yeah.
And so got one checked off pretty early.
Yep.
Because me and Emily got married very young for...
How old were you?
I was 22. Emily was 20. Which is very young for our generation.
21. That's our sign. December 21. I'm 97. What's the math on that? So I'm 26 today.
Yeah.
What
So
am I,
it was,
23. 2 years
2
ago.
years ago. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was
and
24.
you're very young
I was
for
24.
our
Yeah,
generation as
yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Which, like, if you're under 30 and you're getting married.
So I think we're very young for the last generation, Generation Y. I think our generation's getting married quite young. All my friends are married.
Oh, that's awesome.
Not you? No. They're all fucking about.
Well, not fucking about, but
Like messing around, though.
Yeah.
Not like having sex. Like, just, whatever. It'll happen when it happens.
It happens when it
okay.
happens. Yeah,
fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I, like, don't have a problem with,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. Like, I have zero problem with, like...
Yeah,
taking
I
a
mean,
long time to get
some
married.
people aren't motivated by it, but, like, it was definitely a motivating force for me. Is like, that's what life's about. It's about having a family.
I'm with you. So I'm with you and I'm not. And what I mean by that is I was dead adamant on getting married real young. I was
Yep.
dating a girl at 18 and I told her, like, I'm going to marry you.
Yep.
Even though it was so wrong. Like, it was... If I'd married her, that would have been 10 minutes. She was the loveliest girl ever. Bumped into her at the shops the other day. Like, I wish her all the best. She's so cool. We're not a couple.
Yeah.
And after that, I went, hey, guess what? I'm just going to, like, play this out. Like, I don't want to get married young anymore. I'm just going to, like, go on this ride. And then I met Mon.
Yeah.
And then, that happened. But
I probably put too much pressure on making it happen, but
Yeah.
luckily I found the perfect person for me.
for sure.
Yeah.
That's good. That's really good. But you're excited about becoming a dad?
Oh, so excited.
Yeah.
It is definitely... it's an adventure that I'm very excited to just watch this person grow and become who they are.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What time do you come home from work?
What time do I come home from work? Anywhere between 12 p.m. and 2 p.m. 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. is usually
What time
when
do you
I
leave?
leave for work. I leave usually 4 a.m. or 6 a.m. is when I start. So
Yeah, that first bit sucks.
Yeah.
But coming home early.
yeah, they'll definitely be good.
Yeah, there'll be some days you'll be tired. And I've said this on the podcast before. For me, it was tough for the first 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I've spoken to someone. It was tough for the first 18 months
Yeah.
because he didn't bond with the kid. He was like, "There's just this vegetable that cries and shits. What do I
Yep.
do now?" And nobody really talks about that stage. Nobody ever says like, "Hey, like, bonding takes time. It
Yeah.
will happen, unless you're a serial killer. But it will.
Yeah.
It will happen. It'll happen
Yeah.
for you.
Totally.
But after you bond, for me it was laughter.
Yeah.
He would. That was what was
That would
missing.
do it. Yeah, especially since you're going into comedy.
Correct. I've done one
Yeah.
set now.
Oh, that's awesome.
But
Yeah.
for me it was laughter. Like, wherever I am, whatever I'm doing, when I get nervous, the first thing I do is try and crack a joke
Yeah.
to try and, like, just dissipate that energy. So when I would, like, try and make this kid laugh, and he wouldn't laugh, I'd be like, oh, okay, I got nothing. But now I can just go, and he'll go, and he sticks he does this tongue laugh. You'll see it tonight while we have dinner.
Yeah.
He, like, his tongue will just go, and it's just the best.
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what I mean?
Totally.
But, like, after that happens, like, when you come home at 2 p.m. and he's just like, you'll walk in and you'll be his best mate.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about mum is, like, there all the time, and mum's the comfort. This is what I've found anyway. Mum's the comfort character.
Yep.
Dad's the clown. Dad walks in, he's got a spinning bow tie and a flower that goes, psst.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, straight away, just like that. You're going to love it. You're going to love it
Oh,
to bits.
of course.
the
It's going to be
best.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's, my little man is a cool little man. And however your child identifies will be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
gonna be cool. Yeah. Have you got anything more to add? No, not really.
No, that sounds good to me. We've touched
Lazy.
a lot of topics.
Should have been on this. I'm the worst producer of any podcast.
Oh, you just need to get yourself a Jamie.
I know, right? Pull it up, Jamie. Yeah, I was watching the one with Xanthia today, and pretty regularly I'd leave it on the computer. Like, we'd Google something, and I'd just leave it on the computer screen. I am very fortunate in the fact, though, that most of the time I can see the statistics, most people listen to this podcast, they don't watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, that's the end. Can you tell us about Double Dutch Bakery, when you're open, and how people can look down the barrel of the camera and sell your product? Sell yourself.
Right, well, we do sourdough bread, awesome sandwiches. We're open from 6:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday to Friday, and then we're open from we just changed it to 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays. Closed Sundays. Definitely come down.
Matt,
Try out an awesome sandwich.
Yeah, cool. I actually haven't been yet, but I'm keen to come.
When you come down, make sure you let me know.
100%. It'll be a Saturday. Do you work Saturdays?
Sometimes.
Okay, yeah, cool. Well, I'll link up with you, and we'll make it on a Saturday that you're the one. You're probably... Are you taking leave?
I'm taking a lot of leave, yeah.
How much?
From whenever the baby's born to, which will be sometime in December, to start of Feb.
Yeah, cool.
So about 6 weeks-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, cool. Maybe in the new year.
Yeah, sounds good.
We'll pop out. Well, I can probably go. The only thing is, like, it's an hour away.
Yeah.
It's a long way for a sandwich, but I definitely need to come. And I'm keen. Very,
Sounds
very
good.
keen. And I'm going to have one of those. I'll have a Reuben.
Yeah,
Fuck,
totally.
maybe get one of each.
Yeah, just get a few, cut them up, share them.
Share them? You really haven't seen me
I
for a
don't think you
while.
can get through more than one of those sandwiches. They're pretty big.
Watch me. Yeah, cool. Nothing else to promote?
No, that's all good.
Fantastic. Cool. Well, thank you so much for listening or watching. This has been The Audacious Dutchman. If you have been watching the show for a while and you haven't followed along, please make sure to, if you're listening on Spotify, follow. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe. Purely because I'm selfish and I'd like to monetize this one day so I don't have to go to work anymore.
That'd be good.
But no, thank you so much for watching. Enjoy. Merry Christmas if you're watching this on the 25th of December as a repeat. Happy Halloween if you're watching it in 2024. Anyway, thank you so much. See ya. Bye. That was good.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
very
fine.
good. Yeah, it was good.
We did an hour and a half.
An hour and a half. That didn't
I
feel
know,
like it.
It flies, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It just says you need to pee.
Oh, totally.
I can tell.